Hi guys, my name is Adrian. Today I'm going to be refuting one of our classmates, Cameron Muller. His claim of fact speech stated about 2 weeks ago was the death penalty is ineffective in providing safety to citizens in the United States. His 3 claims were the murder rate in the United States is climbing each year regardless of death penalty. Second was death penalty is an ineffective deterrent to future crimes. And third, funding the death penalty results in less law enforcement to create a safer atmosphere. Now, I want to go back to number 1, and since he said the murder rate in the United States is climbing each year, I want to say that's false. I saw it through FBI's uniform crime reports, and according to them, the murder rate nationally has been decreasing ever since its height in 1991. That's 26-year decrease. He also continues to say that he has a notion where murder rates coincide with the death penalty, and there was no information and no data given from him that those two actually correlated. And which also brings me to not all murderers receive the death penalty. Actually, only 2% of all death penalties is actually due to murder, regardless of how heinous. And then he also claims that the U.S. has a higher rate of murder per capita than other countries, but he only gave Canada as an example. He used Europe, but that's a continent, so I was basically controlling since he said countries. But using that logic, El Salvador, Venezuela, and Honduras all don't have the death penalty, but they actually have the highest murder rate per capita, 90.4 per 1,000. So for every 1 person in 1,000 is actually going to get murdered, and that's just in Honduras. His second point was that the death penalty is ineffective and deterring for future crimes. And according to a study by David Mulholson, which is has a PhD in empirical policy analysis, it's just a very fancy name for a person who studies the social programs from a federal standpoint. And he stated that the majority of studies that track and the effects over many years and across states or countries find a deterrent effective, which means he's pretty much saying that the death penalty is in fact effective against deterrent people. And in the following study, according to the deathpenaltycurriculum.org, it states that for every 1 inmate, that 7 people are deterred from causing the exact same issue or charge. And thirdly, he said funding the death penalty results in less law enforcement, causing a less safer atmosphere. And he did give an example of how expensive it was to house inmates. It would cost $90,000 more than what it does to keep a regular inmate. And he ended up using $57.5 million, but he didn't say where that number was, whether it was state or federal. But even so, he also continued to say that the Attorney General spends $11 million of the federal budget. Now, $11 million is only part of the $3.8 trillion budget that the United States has. To put it into perspective, $13.1 billion is only 1% of that, and that went to agriculture. And then the following, Cameron also quotes a person named Peter D. Hart, which he really doesn't give them their ethos, or doesn't give them who they are or what they do. And he said that the research shows random police chiefs throughout the U.S., but even then he never said where these chiefs were from and how they were chosen, or essentially how the experiment was and its parameters were used. And then finally, the research itself was from 1995, which shows that it's outdated by 22 years. And in doing so, I wanted to say that my claim, or my refutation, was from Cameron Muller's claim of fact, stating that the death penalty is ineffective in providing safety to citizens in the United States. Thank you.
All right, organizationally, everything is fine. I thought you had good counterclaims on a couple of points on the deterrence issue. For instance, you had a statistic that suggested that there is an impact. You had a general piece of information that says that there is some effectiveness and that studies confirm that across a variety of countries and states. None of that is specific in refuting the advocate's information on that particular point, so I think that could have been a little bit stronger. Up on the first point, the challenge on the amount of murders, the decline in the murders since 1991, I don't know that that helps you very much, because it would seem that they would be able to point out by saying, well, yeah, and we've also had fewer executions since 1991. So that doesn't necessarily support your position very well. It's kind of like you've taken an automatic shot at that point of view or that particular claim, saying, well, let me say the opposite, but I'm not sure saying the opposite gets you anything. The other argument that I liked was a little bit better, that not all not all murderers get the death penalty, but your argument was a little incomplete there. The better comparison that I thought you had was like the other countries that don't have a death penalty, and they got huge murder rates. So the idea, if we're going to do that kind of comparison, that there's a problem there. The law enforcement cost issue, well, you diminished the importance of the cost pretty well at a national level. I don't know that the advocate had specific information about a harm that they were pointing out, but you had some good general presses on it. And then there was a press on the evidence about the police chiefs, and it's also relatively old. So those are good points, I think, to make. Some of them, of course, are easy to make. You could have made them right after the speech, because it doesn't, you just say, here's what they said and here's a problem with it. A little bit more research wouldn't have hurt. Okay, thank you.